You're listening to Redzone Radio. Josh Holland here, having the pleasure to talk to Bill Wagner, football beat writer for Navy, the Capital Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland. And Bill, how are you doing?
Great. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, you as well. And I got to ask, right off the bat, one of my favorite parts of Navy Week is saying Coach Ken Niumatalolo's name. But I have to wonder.
Pretty well.
Well, thank you very much. I practiced. I have to wonder, do you and the other reporters have a nickname for him, or is it just Coach?
Coach Niemat. That's what everybody calls him, Niemat.
Coach Niemat. So I guess if I continue that over the radio show for the rest of tonight, I'll sound a little bit smarter.
Yeah, Coach Niemat, and he doesn't mind that at all.
And secondly, another one of the coaches, I know I've read a little bit from you about defensive coordinator Buddy Green being released from the hospital yesterday. What's the latest on Buddy?
Buddy is due back to work today. In fact, I'm scheduled to interview him after practice tonight. So he's back on the job, and he will be, God willing, and no further setbacks. He'll be on the sidelines calling defensive signals on Saturday.
And Navy coming off of a loss against Rutgers, and it seems that Rutgers has found a bit of a formula against this triple option attack.
Well, what they're doing isn't anything, any kind of a great gimmick or secret. They just are playing good, hard, physical football at the point of the attack. They're doing, as Coach Ken Niumatalolo said, other teams have tried to replicate what Rutgers has done against Navy, but without nearly as much success. So a lot of it has to do with just good coaching, making sure the players understand their assignments, and getting them to execute. So what Rutgers has done is they've been physical and they've executed, and they haven't made the kind of mistakes that lead to big plays, and that's how they've contained Navy over the years.
And Coach, defensive coordinator here, Nick Holt, he's got a record of 3-0 over the past 3 times he's faced a service academy with a running option like the triple option at Navy. Is that something that is on the mind of Coach Niemat, or is that just they're worried about the next opponent?
Well, they obviously remember last year when Navy did not move the ball very effectively and only scored 7 points. Obviously, Western Kentucky did a very good job defending Navy last year. Part of the problem was that Navy's starting quarterback was knocked out of the game in the second quarter, and his replacement is a kid who's no longer even on the depth chart. So bottom line is that they were left very short-handed and really with an inadequate replacement at quarterback last year when Keenan Reynolds got hurt. So it's a little difficult to say whether last year's game was all about Western Kentucky's defensive effort, but I think it had to. Some of it is attributed to the fact that Navy's starting quarterback didn't play for 2.5 quarters.
Well, I'm glad you went to Reynolds because as someone that didn't get to see too much of Keenan because of that injury, what exactly is his skill set? Because I know he's getting close to Ricky Dobbs as far as the touchdown record at Navy goes, and he's only a junior.
Right. Well, he's just a complete package for what Navy's looking for in an option quarterback. Number one, he's very cerebral. The most important thing as an option quarterback is to get to the line of scrimmage, read the defense, read your keys, and make the right calls. So that, number one, involves possibly having to check the play at the line of scrimmage before you even snap the ball. And then following the snap, it involves making the right reads to get the ball where it should be, whether it be fullback dive or quarterback keeper or the pitch to the slot back. So all of that he does very well. He understands the option. He's got a good grasp of it. He reads defense as well. So his football IQ is the number one. But then he's an effective runner. He's not as strong and powerful as Ricky Dobbs, and he's not as fast as maybe some other Navy quarterbacks in the past, but he's kind of got a good running style. Again, a lot of it comes back to instinct. He knows when to make the cut. He knows he's kind of slithery is the word I've used for him because he's not overly fast or overly quick and definitely not overly powerful, but yet he somehow seems to always come up with big runs. So he just has a knack for finding the hole, cutting back at the right time, and gaining positive yardage. And then last but not least, he's an effective passer. He throws the ball accurately and on target and with a fairly decent arm strength. So he's really kind of the whole package for what Navy's looking for in an option quarterback.
As far as that running ability and cutting and slashing through the defense goes, did you see any of that limited with the bruised right knee coming off of the sitting out against Texas State?
It was hard to tell, really. And after the game, he said he didn't even, once the game got going, he forgot all about the knee brace. So they were bottled up all around offensively against against Rutgers. So I think maybe this week we'll get a better indication of whether the knee is really a problem. But put it this way, when Reynolds ran the ball and didn't get yardage, it wasn't because of his knee. It was because there was no running room. There were no holes.
I know I read an article under your mid-bits, I believe, about new offensive formations for Navy against Rutgers, and a couple more backs in the backfield in a passing formation. But it seems that over the past few years that when Navy passes more than they rush, they lose. So
yeah, no, that's not a formula for Navy. They need to use the run to set up the pass, and when they get forced to go to the air, that means they're usually behind or they've been stuffed in terms of the running game, and they've had no choice. So, yeah, no, Navy does not want to pass for more the yards than it rushes ever, and that is normally that's exactly right. It means they're probably losing the game. They went with an odd formation, a full house backfield. They basically moved the slot backs back into the backfield. Usually they're lined up just off of the line of scrimmage, to the left and right of the two tackles. In this case, they moved them back kind of alongside the fullback. It was just a different look. They're just trying to throw Rutgers off a little bit.
When they do go to the passing game, there's a guy that catches a lot of them in JaMarr Tillman, 6'4" guys, Navy, from my perspective at least, not always known for height. So does this guy add a difference that Navy hasn't had in the past few years at receiver?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. For many, many years, Navy receivers were all about 5'10", 180 pounds. This guy is a new dimension. They have not had many receivers that look like this. He looks like your typical Division I, Power 5 conference type receiver. 6'4", and he's up to 200 now. He's actually gotten bigger. He's a good-looking prospect. He runs well. Against Texas State, he caught a pass that was about 15 yards, and he turned it into a 62-yard touchdown. So he's legit. He's a good player. And you just wrote an article about Tillman that they can check out online, him and his father, Cedric? Yes, Cedric Tillman played in the NFL for the Denver Broncos, and, it is an interesting story. And, having an NFL wide receiver as a dad and a coach for all those years certainly helped JaMarr's development. So we've mentioned JaMarr, we've mentioned Keenan Reynolds, but is there a member of that backfield not named Reynolds that should keep Hilltopper fans up at night? Well, obviously they have the slot backs and the fullbacks who are always a big part of the offense, and you never know who might have a big day in a given game. Noah Copeland and Chris Swain have been the top two fullbacks all season. Both have had some big games and some decent rushing efforts. The top slot backs are Joffrey Whiteside and Ryan Williams-Jenkins is the other starter at slot back. Navy had two slot backs injured last week. They did not play. They had been the backups all year, DeMond Brown and DeBrandon Sanders. I expect DeMond Brown back, but I don't know about DeBrandon Sanders. That kind of forced them to go a little deeper in their slot back rotation. They're always going to use at least 4 slot backs over the course of a game. That's just the way their offense works. And so if DeBrandon Sanders, who's a very effective slot back, if he's unable to go on Saturday, you're going to see a younger slot back. They have a couple sophomores that they've been using, but they have not been getting nearly as many reps as the top 4. So they go a little bit deeper into their slot back rotation if one of those guys is hurt. From reading your stuff on the Capital Gazette's website, I noticed that slot back's not the only thing that is rotated around offensive line, at least after Ohio State was. How are they continuing to use the inside guards and center play? Well, what they usually do is they try to get one guard and one tackle off the bench to get in there and give the guys a blow. So usually what will happen is they got a guy named Tanner Fleming who can play both center and guard. Lately he's been starting at center, but he may get a blow from a backup center, Blaze Ryder, and then Fleming can play guard. So if one of the guards needs a break, they will put Fleming at guard and use Ryder at center. And then they have a third offensive tackle that sometimes rotates in for the starters. It's just to keep everybody fresh. It depends on the game, depends on how many plays are being run, whether any of those guys need a blow. But Navy always tries to have one tackle and one guard that is good enough to get in there and see some reps to give guys a rest.
If there's a buzzword around Bowling Green as far as players and coaches go the past couple of days, it's been discipline, definitely referencing the service academies and how disciplined they are and how the little things count. But I see that Navy has lost almost as many fumbles already this year as they had entire last year. Is that something that is worrying Coach Ken Newmont?
Oh, yes, it is. That's part of the formula for success for Navy is no turnovers, no penalties. That they are a type of offense that they usually move 3-4 yards at a time, and hopefully during the course of a drive they may break a long play. But for the most part, their option attack is designed to get 3 and 4 yards at a time and keep the sticks moving. And any time you have a negative play, a penalty, that really throws the option off because again, they're not a big passing team. They're not the type of team that can get 3rd and 20 is not what they want to be looking at having to convert. And then obviously the turnovers are just a killer. And that is really something they pride themselves on. And what's really been shocking is that they've had turnovers that are leading directly to touchdowns. Two this year, the turnover went immediately for a touchdown, and then others have resulted in touchdowns. So that's just killing them when you have turnovers that the other team is converting into points.
We've spent a good deal of time, once again, talking here to Bill Wagner from the Capital Gazette in Annapolis, Maryland, about the Navy offense because obviously, coming into the game, Navy's known for the triple option, but Bill, at the end of the day, WKU also has to score the ball. And so what can Hilltopper fans, or more importantly, Hilltopper athletics, look forward to from this Navy defense?
Well, the Navy plays a type of defensive strategy that is designed to force teams to drive the length of the field. They're going to play back and not take any chances and try to keep the ball in front of them. They'll give up a short 6 or 7 yard completion in hopes to get the guy on the ground and make the opponent snap the ball again. And what they're banking on is that trying to drive, 80 yards, one play at a time, you're eventually going to make a mistake, a penalty, a turnover, some sort of negative play, and they're looking to hold teams to field goals. So it's the classic bend but don't break type defensive philosophy, and it's worked pretty well for them over the years, and it kind of works in concert with their offense. They have an offense that likes to control the clock and dominate possession, and when your defense is forcing the other team to have long, lengthy drives, it combines to shorten the game, which is what they're looking to do. So Navy does not want to give up big plays. They don't want to let the ball get thrown over their head for deep passes, those types of things. They're looking to make you earn your yardage 6, 7, 8 yards at a time.
Bill, you mentioned turnovers, and in talking with WKU offensive coordinator Tyson Helton yesterday, he mentioned that he felt Navy did a good job of getting the ball on the ground from the opposing teams, but wasn't always coming up with them. How true is that this season?
Just somewhat. I mean, they've had some fumbles that they were not able to recover. But they're not a big create turnover type of team. They're not going to take chances. They're not going after the quarterback. They play a more conservative style of defense. So I guess there have been a few instances this year where a team committed a fumble and Navy didn't come up with it. But overall, I don't think that's been a big issue. They're not a team that creates a lot of turnovers historically.
And lastly for you, Bill, for people that haven't had a chance to get out to Annapolis, Brandon Dowdy talked about the environment, a great place to play. And can you give us a sense of the feeling around Maryland, around the Memorial Stadium when Navy's playing?
Well, obviously it's a great atmosphere and a lot of pomp and circumstance. They have the march on of the Brigade of Midshipmen, so all 4,000-plus midshipmen march into the stadium in formation by their various companies. So that's always a neat spectacle to see. Unfortunately, we will not have a flyover of fighter jets. Usually every Navy home game features a flyover right before kickoff, and sequestration, military budget cuts, have put a crimp in that until the fiscal year ends and rolls over to the next fiscal year. There will be no flyovers, so that's a shame. But all in all, it is a great atmosphere in Annapolis for games.
That was Bill Wagner, football beat writer for the Capital Gazette. You can follow him on Twitter for more Navy information at BWagner_CapGAZ. Thanks a lot, Bill.
Thank you. Good talking to you.